Try me again.
I'm going to go down on mine.
Yep.
Oh, we're
I'm
looking
peeking
pretty good now.
Yeah. They come hard. They come a lot.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Welcome to the Fantasy Wizards podcast, where everyone's a wizard except me when it comes to audio equipment.
It's all good, Tim.
Garrett, what's going on?
We're getting it going. Well, you know, I lost to my wife in fantasy football this week, so
damn.
She's pretty good at it, so I give it to her.
Yeah, she got 130 or something. So
yeah,
140,
144.
Well, I lost to somebody that scored 180, 88, 82.
Yeah.
So, and my team failed to break 100. So it's hot this week. Catching our first L's this week.
Yep. Well, when you want to get reamed, you want to get reamed hard.
I do want to get reamed. Let's not talk about Devon Achane.
Okay, so let's kind of recap our first two episodes, kind of go through what we got wrong and right. So first, off the tight end poo, we kind of called our shot on Jake Ferguson, or I did, and but unfortunately, Zach Ertz did not get a lot of targets. Do you still see Zach Ertz as a good option the rest of the year, fantasy-wise?
How many targets did he get?
2 targets, 2 receptions. Yeah, I mean, it was a positive game.
Yeah, so that's why James Conner roasted. Low-key, not sus. Low-key, pretty...
Yeah, that's what I'm trying not to say this week.
Goated with the sauce. Not that hard.
I see Zach Ertz doing well season-long fantasy-wise. I think it was just a lot of Rondale Moore getting put in a lot of packages. They ran him a couple times, too. He had a lot of targets and just took away from Zach Ertz this week.
Yeah, I think he would be good. I don't see why he would not be good.
We'll just monitor him season long. But if you picked him up, just stash him on your bench if you're not really confident in him. But I would definitely watch out for Luke Musgraves coming up this season. If Jordan Love can get more accurate, I see him as like the next up-and-coming young tight end.
Yeah, is he the brother of that country singer?
Yes. Casey Musgraves.
Casey Musgraves. Yeah,
he's got a voice
Musgraves.
on him. You should listen to his stuff. Yeah.
Zach Ertz has a future working at a rental car business if he doesn't make it in the NFL anymore. Ertz for Hertz.
Some targets stolen, especially at the red zone from Pharaoh Brown. You'll never hear that guy's name again this season, I guarantee it. So
Feral Cat?
Pharaoh, like.
Oh, okay.
It's an odd name.
Pharaoh.
We'll get into odder names later in the podcast.
All right, let's pivot from tight ends here. Let's talk about the tight ends, receivers, tight ends.
Let's talk about those receivers.
The receiving tight ends, the receivers from the Texans. That's what I was trying to say. Let's talk about those Texans receivers. Tangdell, I told you so.
Yeah, baby. He looks like he's gonna get a lot of targets.
I know.
Yeah, I think Nico was just kind of in the right places the first 2 weeks, but I could see him doing well the rest of this week, but he did not show out this week at all.
Nico did not?
No. He got like 2 or 3 fantasy points total.
Yeah, and something to look out for is Noah Brown, when he comes back from injured reserve, could also eat away some targets, but I'm not sure how long he's going to be on IR.
Well, so that just proves we were right about C.J. Stroud, though. I mean, he did pretty well this week. Yeah. I think he's going to be a big waiver target, but we'll talk about him later.
For all the Brian Shepherds listening out there, you gonna divulge your strategies?
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey,
we'll see.
I know you're gonna ask me about Devon Achane fab, so
yeah,
I'm a Jerome Ford.
Yeah. Maybe $1 or $2 for Achane.
Yeah, maybe you know.
But seriously, we got Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris to sit. Predictions this week correct. I mean, I think rest of the season Najee Harris should be sat. So
yeah, I got Jaylen Warren on my bench, and I'm looking for Najee to take a fall, not an injury, but like just for Jalen Warren to start eating more. But right now it's looking like perfect 50-50 for those guys.
Yeah, arrow pointing down on Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris for the rest of the season. So good luck if you got him.
Yeah, who's Jacobs' backup? Do we want to target him?
Is it still Zamir White? I mean, I don't know.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of those running backs are even worth trying. But
Zamir White is right.
I think Josh Jacobs is just going to eat up all the carries and not really be efficient. So you're going to get stuck in fantasy purgatory there.
Which is really weird because Jacobs was a monster last year. So
I know.
You never know.
And he's still kind of in a contract year, and that's probably what people thought he would do well again. So we'll see.
All right, we'll be right back. We're going to talk about some other wide receivers that killed it. Back with the Devon Achane Fantasy Podcast. Just kidding.
But seriously, another thing we got right, or at least I did, was the Broncos not doing great against Miami's defense, and especially Russell Wilson.
How many points did Miami's D end up with?
I don't remember. I think it was 9.
Okay,
so
pretty stout.
Start.
Pretty stout. Chiefs defense did well against the Bears.
Yeah,
they called that. I ended up playing the Seahawks, and they did not do well against Anthony Dalton. So
yeah, Anthony Dalton. You better watch out for him. New name, new place.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson and Andy Dalton combined powers.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
I almost said something racist.
Nice advice there.
But seriously,
the Racist Wizards podcast.
Since we're transitioning into Devon Achane, basically that game was intense. I think it was like they were about to break the record for the highest.
Yeah,
points.
Garrett over here picked the over on 90 points.
Yep. So it was a push.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyways, I mean what's the whole reason why Devon Achane went off? I mean,
well, the whole reason why he went off, quite simply, is because I've had him stashed on my bench the whole year, and this week I dropped him. So that's why he went off.
The curse is real.
No, he was injured week 1. Week 2 was his first NFL action as a rookie. Got him for a few snaps. And this week they played the Broncos, so there was everybody, literally everybody on the Dolphins feasted.
Yeah.
And I'm really kind of upset and annoyed actually, because our league rules. So I picked up Russell Wilson, dropped Achane, and I picked up Jalen Warren. But I thought all the players in our league become available at the beginning of Sunday, so I was planning to re-pick up Achane, but I couldn't because I dropped him so late in the week.
There's like a 3 or 4 day waiver wait or something like that.
Yeah.
After Wednesday.
I dropped him. It was a waiver that I picked up Jalen Warren and dropped Achane Friday morning or Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah.
That was the thing, at 3 a.m. And then it doesn't clear until, I guess, then Sunday night or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like Achane, obviously, arrow pointing up, is going to be good rest of the season, but
how much fab are you going to drop for Achane?
Just $1 to $2.
Just $1 to $2.
And if you really need them, 5 to 8.
Look, okay, I'm not gonna Jerome Ford you. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here, but okay, I'm gonna.
I say 60% of your fab is.
No, I wouldn't do that much, though. And I'm not saying that because I want to beat everybody.
What he's gonna
out.
Go for.
But here's the thing: they just played the Broncos. They just had a complete outlier game where everybody smashed it. Salvon Ahmed is coming back from IR.
Yep.
So Achane could be relegated to 3. Now I think Achane can be great at the end of this season, but then don't be surprised next 3 or 4 games if he's only pulling, like four carries a game or something like that, and getting 5, maybe 10 fantasy points.
Yeah,
he's not gonna smash like that. Now you're stashing him in case Mostert gets an injury. So if you're really like hurting on running back, you definitely pick him up, put him on your bench. But I think people are going to overpay for him because of the 50 burger. And honestly, like I'm going to put some fab in for him, but I'm not going to go heavy fab, and I'm probably going to lose out to him, somebody else. And
I'm not going to suggest any fab amount of what I would do. I'm going to actually start saying what he will go for, so that way you guys have a better idea of how to win him.
You think he's going to go for 60 fab in our league?
40, 50, 60 is where he's going to go. But honestly,
I think he's going to go for...
I would be wary of doing that, because the reason he got 50 points is because Mike McDaniel game planned this into their whole game. Like, after the Tyreek Hill touchdown, a couple things worked their way with Mostert, and then Achane got 2 shovel passes at the goal line to get touchdowns because it worked the first time. He tried it again, and it happened the same exact way. Like, it's never going to happen again like this in this season. I mean, maybe Achane goes for 40, 50 another season, but
he did rush for 200 yards.
He's talented.
He rushed for 200 yards, but touchdowns also are not a stat that you can count on. So
yeah, but the Broncos defense just gave up. Like, if you're losing by that much, I mean, you're just destroyed. Like, play to play, like, they just gave up. You're not going to get scoring like that ever again.
I'm going to put in the play to win the game sample right there.
You're seriously, like...
Did you watch
never
some of that game?
Get this 50 burger again.
No.
I rewatched the game to see why. Why did he get this? And Mostert got 45. Like, it's just how
you're never going to get it. And
after.
Even if Mostert gets injured, like, you're going to be seeing stars or whatever. But Salvin Ahmed is there too, even if Mostert gets injured. So.
Yeah, it's a tricky scenario. I mean, what he's going to go for, 40, 50, 60 fab. What he should go for, maybe 15, 20.
Yeah. No, I fall in the latter category for sure.
So, good luck getting him. He's going to be an awesome talent. So
yeah, 2 chains over A chains. That's what my opinion. Yeah. Lil Jon.
And 2. Yeah, I sent you yes.
No, let me show you right now. I did not receive that. What? At all. It's lost in the cloud.
It's lost in the cloud. I'll take my tall boy next week.
Fucking cloud, man. Sprint network.
We're probably going to be talking about the most important thing this fantasy season. I don't see anything bigger coming up this year. So let's talk about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, sister to DeAndre Swift.
Yes. Blood sister.
Blood sister? Oh, we are turning this into the Racist Wizard podcast.
Oh, God. But seriously,
you think she could rush, or she could take 15 carries for 2.5 yards per carry average?
No, we'll leave that to Derrick Henry.
Travis will just pick her up and carry her.
There you go.
All right.
Carry her through the...
So talking about Travis and Taylor.
So honestly, we just wanted to know what his fantasy outlook for the rest of the season will be now that this dating has been announced.
Wait, are they dating?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I've been reading EU News, People Magazine articles about. I mean, I haven't been reading them. My sister's been telling me about them. But
my sister, I don't read those.
But
anyways,
but no, about how it started out and she didn't respond to him. But it's for real.
Yeah, she was at the game next to his mom up in the press box.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was all scripted and odd. Like it didn't seem real, but I mean.
Now I hear the Swifties are really into this because he's a good boy. He's not like she usually dates like bad British boys in bands.
Oh
so
yeah.
I hear like
Maddie Healy.
Yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal.
So if you have Travis Kelce, you just hope she doesn't break up with him. But since he's a good guy,
if she breaks up with him, he could rage though. He could, could have the alternate effect.
This is gonna make or break Travis Kelce's season. I mean, it could.
He's gonna want to ball out for his lady though. So
yeah, if she's there, expect 30 points. But if it's just his mom, maybe just 15 to 20.
Yeah, if she's in the stands, if it's just his mom in the stands or her mom, you're gonna want to sit Travis for sure.
Alrighty.
Damn it! Fuck. Mailbag time.
Yep.
It's Brevin.
Let's open the mail. Brevin, stop emailing us. This is the second time you asked us about these Jets players and Bengals players. Hold on to your Bengals. They'll do well the rest of the season. Try to trade your Jets. That's my assumption now.
Yeah, I think, like we said last time, well, at least I said, I was higher on the Bengals than the Jets. And I think that's proving to be true.
So we responded, just go down with the ship.
Yeah, I mean, the part of Brevin, I'm sorry, but you're sunk. Just hold your breath. And
try to get to that iceberg.
The Van part, you're going to be fine, dog. You're 3. Some tells me that we're talking to someone that's 3-0 in his league. So,
okay, the next question is from Nerd Hamilton. I'm in tons of leagues, and I have stock in Josh Jacobs, Dameon Pierce, Najee Harris, and Cam Akers. How do I retool my running back?
Retool my running back? Nerd Hamilton. Does that say Handy Modley? Hadley?
Well, we kind of already talked about Josh Jacobs, but Dameon Pierce, I would buy him low. I'm not giving up on him this season, but I'm not expecting a lot out of him rest of season. So if you can, I don't know, trade one of your Philadelphia running backs for him, give him something. Sell DeAndre Swift high.
All of those running backs are trending down, but what do you think about jettisoning?
Well, I mean, Cam Akers has a high upside now. I don't know, since Alexander Madison kind of did decent. Alexander Madison. But seriously,
Alexander Hamilton?
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to be like a little timeshare action split?
No, I think they really want to get Cam Akers in the starting slot, getting most of the snaps. So what's your policy just in general on cutting bait and players that aren't performing? Like Justin Fields or any of these running backs that Nerd Hamilton's asking about. Dameon Pierce had a decent game this last game compared to earlier weeks. It still wasn't great, but Harris, Akers, Jacobs, like if they keep performing terribly, are you stashing them on your bench hoping for a bounce back, or when do you just like cut bait? Well,
and,
you
turn him into Allen Robinson. He never came back.
Yeah, you retool through the waivers, but I mean, he tried to do whatever trade, package him. I mean,
So you're gonna sell low on him and get butt for him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those 3-for-3 trades go through, and you got to take a little tight end poo with.
I mean, I sold Darren Waller super low, couldn't handle it anymore, and he did crap against the Cardinals 49ers this past week as well.
Different.
So I feel a little vindicated in that. But I got JSN returning that trade, and JSN didn't do anything either. So far it's a wash.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, you can. That's the definition of insanity. If you just hold on to these players and do nothing about it, I mean, that's the definition of insanity. So try to retool.
That's not the definition of insanity.
But,
trust me, I know what the definition of insanity, and it's holding on to Justin Fields forever.
Okay, so our last question is: should I be afraid if I drafted Derrick Henry? This is from Hadelin Lee. Interesting name. Must be one of those new Gen Alphas names. Young listener.
Eric Denry. Yeah, had a rough game this week, and I personally know somebody that was part of their loss to Derrick Henry's poor performance.
Poor performance. Well, I'm actually kind of afraid rest of the season. He didn't get a lot of touches this week. He might be injured, but...
What are you thinking about Tajay Spears' waiver wire pickup?
He would be a great pickup this upcoming week. I honestly think that he is getting kind of 3-down back work, and they're slowly incorporating that in and letting Derrick Henry do what he can for now.
You think the Yeti's starting to freeze over?
Yep, I think so. I would definitely not draft him high next season.
Nah, me neither.
Well, since we're starting on waivers, do you just want to go on to waiver quarterbacks and go through all the ads and drops this week?
Yeah, let's talk about waiver QBs because I've taken some looks today as a Fields owner. I am heavily exploring other options. What's your take on waiver wire QBs out there?
Yeah, I mean, drop who you got to drop. Justin Fields definitely is in that category where he could be.
You want me to drop him so hard?
But Jordan Love is 69% owned, so I think he's my number one option if Brock Purdy's not there. I'm assuming
you want
Brock
Purdy?
Purdy's not there, but Brock Purdy's 70%. He's good for 10 yards rushing and 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. That's an extra point there. It'll get you to 18.
I see Brock Purdy as kind of a poor man CJ Stroud. But I think CJ Stroud honestly has passed up Brock Purdy in terms of quarterback acumen and waiver wire potential. I would take Stroud over Purdy. Purdy is super matchup dependent. I mean, if you look at his matchups this year, like the ones against difficult teams, he didn't do well, but against the good teams, he did pretty well. His ceiling's limited, just like CJ's, because neither of them rush. But I feel like CJ has a higher floor. Both of them are super matchup dependent. Purdy is playing the Cardinals. The 49ers are playing the Cardinals this upcoming week, so Purdy's got a great matchup. I like him this week, but I don't like him as a permanent guy you're thinking about for the future.
Yep. Well, I feel like, yes, you are right. He's more matchup dependent. But I do believe most games he will get you close to 15 to 20 points if you need to solidify that roster. But for higher upside, I definitely shoot for Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. But if you want it safe and you just need a 15 to 20, I think Purdy's your guy. So
for higher upside, I'm going unlimited.
So what about those lower percentages, maybe 0 to 5%? You think Andy Dalton would be somebody to put in your lineup if you really needed somebody last
How long
minute?
is Bryce Young going to be out?
I think 2 to 3 weeks. So next week for sure, I think Anthony Dalton is going to be
Anthony Dalton. And is he on the concussion protocol? No, just kidding. Does he? Who do the Panthers play this week?
The Panthers are next week against Minnesota, so I'd smash him for next week. I mean, it's probably going to be another high over-under.
You'd smash with Andy Dalton? Dang.
Yeah, I mean,
don't think Andy Dalton would even be on Jersey Shore.
Yeah, he could be. And I think it's more important to talk about, actually, with Andy Dalton, his receiving options. I mean, DJ Chark and Thielen did great this week. So, honestly, if he's in your lineup, those guys are viable options. If he's not, I wouldn't start Thielen or Chark or Hurst Mingo kind of went out with a concussion or something, so he might not be playing this upcoming week. So, but anyways, those kind of are our waiver wire targets this week. just giving you different variations of percentage owned options. So,
yeah, Dak Prescott, going to be a bounce back candidate if he's in your league. Yeah, that's about it.
So on to wide receivers. We're going to go from top percentages down. So Romeo Doubs is actually 41% owned on Yahoo, so I was kind of wrong. He kind of did well this week. Week to week, do you think he'll be a better consistent option over Jaden Reed?
I think it would fluctuate between Doubs and Reed. I see it kind of as a Christian Kirk, Zay Jones situation. It seems hard to predict to me.
Yeah. Well, Josh Reynolds was hurt this week. He's 53% owned. I'd hold off on him for now. He kind of, I'm too scared to put him in my lineup. But what about Marvin Mims Jr. from the Broncos? Kind of negative game script, throwing the ball.
City 4.
Yeah, young talent. If they can get it figured out in Denver, I mean, I see him if you can stash somebody later in the season. But
yeah, if Russ starts to cook, and he could definitely benefit.
Yeah,
Mimford and Sons. I'll take it.
DJ Chark, 10% owned. That's really just if Anthony Dalton. I have to try to say Anthony Dalton now.
Hey, Anthony.
To keep the joke going. But what about this Arizona game against Dallas? They kind of surprised everyone, and Rondale Moore had a lot of touches and plays called his way. What would you do with him?
I don't know.
Well, you heard it from us, I just wanted to say the name Robbie Chosen. This used to be, I saw him get a last-minute touchdown for the Dolphins. This is Robbie Anderson, Robbie Anderson Jr. It was. You remember him?
For the Panthers?
Yeah, he had those dreadlocks that were amazing.
Oh, yeah?
He changed his name to Robbie Chosen.
Really?
Yeah. He's kind of higher on the scoring, but that was like no one cared.
Meta World Peace. But is he still in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh.
Meta World Peace never was in the NFL.
No. Robbie Chosen.
Robbie Chosen, yeah. He's backup for
wow, dude.
Wide receiver for the Dolphins. They put him in at the end of the game, and he scored a touchdown, a long touchdown.
What?
Still
just
got
like
that speed.
Jameis Winston, man. Yeah. These people are still in the game.
But I wouldn't start him or pick him up because I don't think the Dolphins are going to get 70 points again.
Is Marvin Mariota still in the league?
Marcus
Mariota?
Marvin, yeah. But the last person we're going to talk about wide receivers is Jordan Palmer. Quentin Johnston is the higher talent as far as wide receiver 3, but with Mike Williams going down and he tore his ACL, so he's going to be out the rest of the season. Who you got, Jordan Palmer or Quentin Johnston?
I can't in good faith pick up anyone whose name is Quentin. Sorry to Nerd Hamilton out there, but if your name is Quentin and you don't go by Q, I don't want you.
Yeah, so start going by Q or we're not picking you up. Jordan Palmer is my choice as well, but I think they're really going to rely heavily on Parham, the tight end.
You mean Parham?
Parham.
Silent H, that guy?
But also Gerald Everett will you'll see an uptick in touches. So they might be on your waiver wires as far as tight end, and we might talk about them later.
Gerald Everett, Aqua Sox. That's a minor league baseball joke.
So the running backs this week, obviously we talked about Devon Achane. We're spending, if you want to get him, 40, 50, 60% of your fab because he's going to be highly wanted. But what about Rico Dowdle? He kind of did well. It could have been kind of because of the negative game script. They're not really starting Pollard when they know they're going to lose, but he did well with the touches he got. He's the backup to Tony Pollard. Do you think he's kind of a stash or a handcuff for the Tony Pollard owners?
Rico Dowdy?
Yep.
Well, what's he look like? Does he look like a true 3-down back that, are these A-chains, these Bigsbys?
I definitely think he's got a lot of talent and speed, so I see him just as those guys.
Okay. So, it could be league winner if Pollard goes down.
Yeah, I would stash him for sure. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
No, I have CEH trauma I won't indulge in. But.
Yeah, I think it was a negative game script as well. It's or a positive game script.
Yeah.
They're up so high.
The Bears.
Like on the Bears. I wouldn't touch him.
Pacheco's taking a sit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of running backs other than Achane, honestly. So, just enjoy. For those of you who picked up Kendre Miller and Tony Jones Jr., just drop them because Kamara's going to take everything.
Yeah,
they did not do well. You did not get scared away from Kamara having the whole
Josh
backfield.
Kelly, take a seat. Drop him.
Yep. I'd drop Josh Kelly. I wouldn't even hold on to. Yeah, they're just going to throw the ball. So I would definitely.
Eckler's going to be back soon. So
yeah, I would definitely pick up Donald Parham Jr. since you transitioned to that. We're into tight ends now. He's only 1% owned. Honestly, he's going to get all the valued targets in the red zone. He seems to be a huge guy. He can get those targets, those valued targets. So he might end up with 2 receptions for 2 TDs and 2 yards. But hey, at the tight end position, that's what you want to see. 14 points. So we already talked about Farrell Brown. I wouldn't even touch him with the 10-foot pole. So I would just look at Luke Musgraves, stashing him if you want a backup tight end. If you have troubles with your current tight end, want to drop him. Luke Musgraves is going to be the next Sam Laporta this season. And if Sam Laporta's out there, grab him for sure, but I'm sure he's already been picked up the last couple of weeks.
Luke and Casey, DeAndre and Taylor.
Yep. And we're going to talk about Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith. They kind of split targets. They both kind of had 8 to 9 targets, and that's what you kind of want to do against the Lions defense. It's pretty much their only weak spot. So you'll never see this many targets from the Falcons tight ends ever again, especially Kyle Pitts. So I think he's in the drop category. I mean, he's a great talent, but they're just wasting him in Atlanta with Arthur Smith. So pick up any tight ends, and you can finally drop Kyle Pitts. Don't worry, he won't be messed up this season.
If you haven't already dropped him.
Any streamers you looking at this week, Tim? For defense.
Yeah, I do like the Seahawks defense, even though they didn't perform well last week. I do think if Bryce Young had been the QB for the Panthers, that the Seahawks would have done much better than they ended up doing. And they had a few defensive players, cornerback, and I believe a linebacker. Their starting linebacker, starting cornerback out of the game, where they're getting back this week. And this week they are playing the G-Men. This week they are taking on the Giants. So we know Daniel Jones, sometimes he can ball out, but sometimes he cannot. And I think the Seahawks playing the Giants at home in Seattle will be a solid stream this week.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cleveland is my highest stream. They are kind of like 40 to 50% owned. I can't remember, but they're probably going to be held the rest of the season, whoever picks them up this week. But Cleveland is scoring about 9 1/3 fantasy points per game this season in their first 3 games, and they face Baltimore, who's allowing 8.3 fantasy points per game to opposing defenses.
Baltimore's offense not doing well.
Yeah, so I'm kind of boring you with that selection, so I'm going to move on.
Sleepy Wizards podcast
with Houston. it's 1% owned, and I know that you're kind of scared of this selection, but they're facing Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickett. They have the 4th worst scoring offense, and they're worst in rushing. So I would say essentially it's a safe selection. I know they don't turn the ball over a lot, but I think Houston, if you don't have those other options, should be good. And
are we playing in Houston or Pittsburgh?
They're playing at Houston. You want to start a defense at home. So
right.
So season long, though, there's a couple defenses that are not really highly percentage owned. So the Colts are at 5%, and they're averaging, I think, 9 points per game as a defense. They haven't scored under 9, I'm pretty sure. I can't really remember the stat, but the Saints defense as well, they're 65% owned. They could be a good season-long defense if you want. You don't want to stream your defenses week to week based on matchup. If you just want to set it and forget it. And then, obviously, we already talked about Cleveland. But, yeah, what do you think about the Commanders' defense season long? Are we undecided now about them since this last week they kind of goosed? Or is it just based on matchup?
Their offense really crapped it this past week against Buffalo. But no, I don't really have a strong opinion on their defense one way or the other. I do agree with you about New Orleans. New Orleans is, I would say, the strongest defense that's most likely to be on your waiver wire. Yeah.
So, yeah, the commies, I would just start them matchup dependent. They might not be a season long, so stream them from here on out.
You don't play it, just play it.
Thursday Night Football, we're going over the matchup coming up in 3 days. It's an NFC North showdown. It's the Packers versus the Lions at Green Bay. It looks hot. Is this hot? No, we're good. Okay. Packers, Lions, Green Bay. So start us off. We're talking about the quarterbacks in this game. Tell us about these backs.
Yeah. So the quarterbacks should be good streaming options. I would definitely start Jordan Love, but be wary on Jared Goff. And the Packers are kind of middle of the road, allowing fantasy points to the quarterback position. So just be wary that he might not get a lot of points, because actually the Green Bay defense doesn't allow, is like 31st in allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. So it's going to be a tough matchup for these Lions wide receivers. So would you start Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra is a must start for me, for sure. Even with dealing with the turf toe and everything going on with him this past week, I had lower expectations for him this past week, but he did not disappoint with 19 points in full PPR. He's Jared Goff's favorite weapon, and I could see a negative gain script happening. I'm not sure what the over-under is in this game, but due to being at Lambeau, if the Packers end up getting ahead, then it's going to spell it could make for a great game for Amon-Ra, and he could feast, which also could be the reason why Jahmyr Gibbs might not have such a great game.
Yep. Well, Green Bay does allow a good amount of fantasy points to running backs. I'm seeing Jahmyr Gibbs, just based on this matchup, an okay start at RB2. Definitely more of a flex, just based on his skill level right now. He started out really good this first game of the season, but with the touches given, he hasn't been as efficient as that first game. So I would just be wary. He has a good matchup against Green Bay, unlike the receivers, but he is just kind of somebody I would keep in my flex. So I would definitely flex him this week. He's flex worthy. So what about Sam Laporta?
Sam Laporta, I think, is a great tight end start this week.
Yeah, he's pretty much going to be matchup independent, I think, the rest of the season. Just like Amon-Ra, you really can start Amon-Ra no matter what the matchup is. So I definitely wouldn't start any other receiver with the Lions at all this week, and just hope that Jared Goff can keep it humming all game. So what about Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs this week? And if Christian Watson comes back again, maybe, what do you feel about those options?
If Christian Watson comes back, it's kind of tough because I think either of those guys could have a great game, but you don't want to start both of them. You're going to miss on one of them. You're only going to hit on one of them, I believe. So, to me, it's really a coin flip. I'm looking to pivot somewhere else instead of one of these guys. But if you have to throw one of them in a flex, what about you?
Yeah, I think you can put them in your daily fantasy lineups. They're going to get points, but you just want consistency in your season-long redraft leagues. So I would just start Jordan Love, honestly. Aaron Jones might be out still for this upcoming game. I don't see A.J. Dillon doing well at all in his absence, no matter what matchup. So I would just start Jordan Love on the Packers. Luke Musgraves does have a great matchup, though, this week. He hasn't really showed out this season, mostly because Jordan Love hasn't been super accurate, but he has the talent. So if they can just get a good connection going, I really do think Luke Musgraves might break out this game.
Would you start him this game or just put him on your bench and wait for a breakout?
Yeah, I would pick him up off waivers and bench him. But if you need a tight end streamer, you could do way worse, and he could surprise you.
Luke Musgrave is dropping some singles, but his album is yet to drop. So,
what about these defenses? What about Lions defense or the Packers?
No, I would take the Packers defense over the Lions because they're at home. Gives them a slight edge, but I really don't want to start either of these defenses because neither of these quarterbacks are super turnover prone. So I'd rather take a defense with a lot more upside somewhere else.
Yeah, these defenses aren't they don't have great matchups against their offenses. So, yeah, I mean, maybe daily fantasy you can start Green Bay, but I really wouldn't expect much out of either of these defenses at all.
All right, that's the Thursday night preview. Keep it magical.
Wands up.